Your Second Amendment rights are under attack like no other time in history, and the Second Amendment Foundation needs you to take action now. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have pledged to make taking away your Second Amendment rights a top priority through gun bans, gun confiscation, government regulations, and even a gun tax. They have aligned themselves with anti-gun activists like billionaire Michael Bloomberg and appoint radicals like Beto O'Rourke as the anti-gun czar. The fight begins now with your text of Protect 2A to 474747. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder. Your right to own a gun and protect your family are on the line. Text Protect 2A to 474747 and join the fight to protect your Second Amendment rights. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment. Concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection. And it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So, hey, folks, welcome to Eye on the Target Radio. And, man, it's been quite a week, and I just want you to know that if you are doing any of the on-demand video of our show, so we are not only on radio, we are also on-demand video on OpsLens, and so the OpsLens channel on your Fire Stick, on your Roku, on your Apple TV, also the OpsLens app on your iPhone and what is your phone? Android. I was like on his whatever that is. And let's see what else. Oh, and then on Facebook, on the OpsLens Facebook page. So you can find us all in those places. But the interesting part is that our video producer has a great time putting together little taglines that are on the bottom of our names. And so sometimes they're the standard taglines, and then sometimes they get entertaining. And I have a belief that today is going to be an entertaining day. So if you have an opportunity to tune in on any of the YouTube or OpsLens apps, do so, because you'll have some entertaining times with the names and the fun that our video producer has with us. So anyhow, what were you doing gun related this week that people want to hear about?
Well, I did shoot the new SIG the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus.
Okay.
And also the Ruger Max 9.
Okay, so let's talk about what the Shield Plus is and how different the Shield Plus is from the Shield.
The Shield Plus is basically just, it holds 13 shots instead of the, I think the regular 9 or 10 that the standard Shield holds. Okay. When I was playing with it, really the grip wasn't that much bigger. There wasn't too much to it. It was it had the best trigger of any semi-automatic pistol out of the box that I've ever felt. And it's probably as good as a lot of really high-end custom triggers that I've played with. It was amazing. I mean, my first 7 shots were through the same hole.
So you're saying that's which one?
That was with the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus.
The Shield Plus, because the Shield itself doesn't have a great reputation for that.
Terrible trigger. And,
so they have really made some kind of a difference.
Right. It's kind of funny because I had bought the Shield and I had bought the Shield 45,
mm-hmm.
and the 45 has a really good trigger. The 9mm one did not. A friend of mine, he went and bought the same pair so we could play together, and.
Mm-hmm.
His was the same way. The 45 had a good trigger, the 9mm not so much. This Plus has a fabulous trigger. It was amazing. You couldn't really tell when it was going to go off. There was no creep, no play, no nothing. Then we got the Ruger Max 9 out of the box, and you couldn't say the same about it. It has a creepy, crappy, squeaky trigger that... if you want to fight,
you would have thought that Ruger learned when they went from the LCP to the LCP2, but they didn't.
It's got a good trigger for a combat gun. If you want a
mm-hmm.
fighting gun, I would choose the Ruger over the Smith & Wesson every day. It's got better sights. It's a better feeling gun. It holds almost the same amount of bullets. It's everything about it. It doesn't have the super match grade trigger. It's got a combat trigger.
Okay.
And so we played with both of them, and it was easy to master the trigger in the Ruger. We shot about 400 shots of all different kinds of ammo mm-hmm. out of both guns, and not one hiccup from either one.
Okay, so what's going to happen, though, is that the majority of the people are going to be like, oh, the trigger on the Shield Plus is so wonderful that it's going to go to where people will pick it because of that, with no concept of the other features that the Ruger has.
Right. When I
right?
played with the Ruger, I liked the Ruger. It filled my hand, but it was much more on par with my 365 SIG. It's
Okay.
kind of a square grip that that just felt good. Also, it pointed naturally for me. So as soon as I drew it was right there on the spot. The Smith & Wesson, I'm about a half of a front sight high with the natural pointing.
Okay.
So when I'm shooting at 20 feet, I'm shooting 2 inches above what I'm aiming at.
So here's the question: does it have the different backstrap replacements?
No, they don't come with different
Okay.
backstraps or anything. But yeah, the Ruger pointed better for me. The Ruger just felt better. Everything about it. Just the Smith & Wesson had a fabulous trigger. And the Ruger's also cut. You could take the plate off and put the optics on it if you wanted to, where the shield's not. So.
Okay, so the Ruger is the combat gun. The Shield Plus is going to be the gun that people take to the range
Well, I
and
think
say,
that,
"Look at how great my target looks."
If you're going to go buy them, I recommend the Ruger, and the price I believe is much better on the Ruger than the other, especially compared to my SIG and stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so Kevin Sona says that he's got a Canik TP9 SF that he says that the trigger is the best. He loves the trigger.
right, see, we're going to get a fist fight started.
Well,
here.
we're gonna have to do a shooting comparison between
We'll have
between
to come
those
back
two.
to Florida and go shooting. So,
And then say, okay, go back and shoot with the Florida Carry guys and say, okay, here, let's look at that. Because then if we're doing that, I am taking my Para-Ordnance, my vintage Para-Ordnance into the game. Because if you want to talk triggers,
I mean, it's funny as I when I go to the range, I carry about 7 pistols with me all the time anyhow. So I have a couple old Walters, the CCP, the PPS, the P99. I take the FNS, and I take my SIG 365 and a Diamondback DB9
okay.
all the time. And then I may have other things that get thrown in there.
Because I have a car CW9, I have my the SIG 3P 365, and I have a Walther that I have in 380, and I love it. Well, one, it's in Josie and the Pussycat print is what it is. It looks like it's a leopard skin print. And 2, it is probably the gun that shoots where I think it shoots. And so I can just...
It was funny because I had bought the CCP when they first came out because I really liked the way the gun felt, but it takes a special tool to take it apart.
Right.
So is a end of times type thing where you're going to find one of those
One of the
special tools to take it apart. So
Right.
it's got its flaws, but and also if you're in an extended gunfight, about 250 rounds into it, it stops working until it cools off. So you have to keep that in mind also.
Well, if you're in an extended gunfight that's more than 250 rounds, you need a new neighborhood. I'm just saying. The Desert Eagle 50AE has an excellent trigger. This is what our video producer says.
I have the 44. I have the 50 barrel and the 44 Magnum.
Mm-hmm.
The 44 Magnum is so much fun to shoot. The 50 is just too much. I mean, you can master it, and it's capable of being used.
But it's
kicks,
a couple rounds. This is fun,
it costs a lot to shoot, and it kicks hard enough that you get over the novelty of the thing. But the 44 Magnum is really nice. I've never tried that new. They have the 429 caliber.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I've never tried that to see what it's like, but I know just the standard 44 Magnum because you can get bullets anywhere for the thing. It's a.
So what do you think about the smallest 9, the DB9?
I like the DB9. I carry that almost all the time. It's just it's so small. It fits in my pocket. It's very dependable. It doesn't like really flat-nosed hollow points.
Mm-hmm.
I use that ARX ammo that's
Right.
plastic with the little cuts in the nose.
Right.
And then I never have any kind of problem. It also feeds Spear Gold Dots 100% with no problem also. But both of those rounds work good in the gun, and I shoot that a lot, and I carry it a lot too.
Yeah. I just want to report out that he had that painted in a Tiffany blue, robin egg blue, so he was exploring his colorful side as he's and the Cerakote paint job has held up well because he is not real gentle with well with anything. You guys have seen him in action, so it's not like he's going to take.
And Kevin says he likes his cars. They have a long trigger pull, but I have the K9, and it's the steel framed one. And it's got a smooth trigger all the way through. It's very easy to master, and that gun is not particular about ammo. I usually just keep it loaded up in case I gotta shoot somebody in the middle of the day or something.
Okay, just in case.
It's not my gun that I keep in the car to go places with. It's the one I keep at home. So
it's the home defense gun. Got it. Okay. And there are different guns with different purposes. I tell people that I have a kitchen gun, and my kitchen gun has completely different purposes than some of the others, and it sure isn't about cooking. We'll just say that's where that is. But it's really interesting when a new gun comes out in the concealed carry family to see what happens and to shoot it and to do a comparison, because everybody starts to say, well, what do you think? What do you think? And I watch the internet Facebook pages and the internet sites, and everybody's got an opinion, and they're not necessarily doing a comparison against other guns. They're doing a comparison against their singular other gun. Makes it interesting. We'll be back right after this.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Folks, we are back, and with us is the history section. So, Rob, I understand that over the week you have received 2 new.
Well, a friend of mine, he's getting older, and he's had some health issues. And when I was over visiting him the other day, and he gave me 2 rifles, and one was it's a Kentucky style long rifle, and 50 caliber. With iron trim and everything. It's a really nice piece. And then the other one is it's almost all brass. It's really weird looking. It's got a steel barrel, but everything else on it is brass. And it says Maury, Texas on it. It's the only thing I can see, and it's 54 caliber.
Okay.
It's really heavy, and he said it's real accurate, but it has this peep sight on it that I can't see through. So
so you can't say that it is that accurate
the
because you
hole
can't
is so small and the peep is like I can't even see no light come through the hole.
Okay, so what are you going to do about that?
I'll have to drill a hole bigger so I can see through it or something.
Okay.
But it was kind of nice that he thought about me and that he gave me these 2 pieces. And
okay.
The one I'm shooting a full stock Kentucky right now in 45s. It's a little fancier silver trimmed flint gun.
Okay.
This one is a cap gun, but it's really nice because the barrel, the trigger guard, the butt plate, everything is all in a real dark, rich brown color. Okay. I would say it was probably professionally built at some time.
So it's brown oxidized. So it's like
It looks like rust, but it was.
It's not really. It's brown. Right.
But it's really nice.
So you called it a poor boy, and is that because of the iron trim as opposed to?
Yeah, they put an iron trim on them and stuff because of that. They didn't have a lot of extra money for fancy stuff. So the more money you had, the more either brass or silver trim they would put on their rifles.
Okay, so this one was. So this one doesn't have a patch box or anything on it. It's got a plain wood stock. It's actually got a hole for beeswax in it. But there's no patch box or covers to put anything in. It looks probably about a 44-inch barrel on it, and it's 50 caliber. And I haven't shot it yet. I was going to, and then I got busy. So do you think is it vintage? Is it a remake? What do you think?
I would imagine it was probably built. A lot of the stuff was built around the bicentennial when everybody was wanting to be like Daniel Boone, and so it was probably built around that. I would say
the 1970s,
say mid to late 70s, or even into the early 80s, something like that. But it's nice. I mean, since at that time they don't put serial numbers or any of that stuff on these things, there's no.
Because it's not really, it doesn't meet the ATF definition of a firearm, so that it doesn't have to be serialized because of that.
My silver trimmed gun in the patch box, somebody wrote 1976 in a pencil. That's the only markings on the whole gun is
okay. With a pencil. It's not going to last.
Right, but it's been in there since 1976, so you can still read it. But I don't use the patch box or anything, so I'm preserving that pencil markings.
Well, there you go. Okay, so 1976. So what is it? 45 years.
Right, and my full stock Kentucky shoots. It's got a 1-in-48 twist, and it shoots a round ball fabulously. I shoot 60 grains of powder, 2 or 3F, either one, and it shoots that same point of aim. So it isn't like I need one powder or the other. And I can hit something about the size of my fist, so say 3 by 4 inches at 100 yards with it without too much trouble.
Okay, so so the design of the Kentucky rifle was created as we started heading west.
And it wasn't that it was built in Kentucky. It was built to go to Kentucky, and everything that wasn't Pennsylvania was Kentucky.
So it was to head west, right? Once you get past Pennsylvania, we were in the wild west.
Right. So that's what if it was. A lot of times they call them Pennsylvania rifles, or they call them Kentucky rifles. Either one. They're the same rifle. There's different styles, and some of them, depending on the original ones, the shape of the stock and the shape of the patch boxes and the trim and all that stuff, they can kind of tell you what county the things were actually built.
Where it was, where it came from, what the idiosyncrasies of that gun builder, and
right. And a lot of times you'll find the original ones were real small calibers, like 25, 30, 32, 38, because it didn't take a lot to shoot a white-tailed deer or a squirrel. But when they got to the Mississippi River, they realized that the things on the other side tended to eat them, so that's when they
you got to get a little bigger, because
right, they went to 50 caliber guns then, and some 54s and 58s, and that's because the bears and stuff were a lot
you're
bigger.
You're either going to get stomped on, or you're going to get eaten. one of the two. And so
everybody talks about the Hawkins rifle. Well, Hawkins was just a gunsmith who realized that your Kentucky rifle wasn't going to make it on the other side of the river.
Okay.
So he set up in St. Louis, and he made these rifles that were between 54 and 70 caliber.
So what happened? Would somebody get to there, and then all of a sudden somebody had to then they traded in their rifle, bought a new rifle, because they were like,
a lot of times they would either that or they just buy another one, because it's like we were Americans, right? We got two hands, don't you?
One. Got it. Got two hands, two rifles. No, but I mean, if you were headed west, and you've got all of your belongings either on your horse and on your back, or you had your belongings in a wagon.
The thing is, when you get there and they tell you about monsters at the other side of the river, you have no idea what's going on. So you have to listen to what they're saying. It's kind of like when you read the gun magazines today and they say, "Oh, you don't want this gun, you want that gun."
You got to listen, because otherwise you're, okay.
That guy possibly has been there. You know for a fact you haven't, so you don't know what you're taking or what you need. Sometimes they take two guns. Sometimes you trade your little gun in and buy a big gun, and they just move on from there. A lot of times they bought their gun, they buy a bullet mold and whatever else that they needed to make, so that wherever they were at, they could make all the stuff to keep the gun going. So
right. I mean, and that's the part that always amazed me, is how much lead are you carrying? How can you carry enough?
There wasn't a lot of gun shops over there. There wasn't. Right. You couldn't tell where the next.
Don't miss, because you got to dig it out of wherever and salvage your lead. There's not a lot of marksmanship practice. It's you ate or you didn't.
Stop at a local scrapyard and bought some more lead.
No, you either ate or you didn't eat, or you ate or it ate you. It was that kind of it mattered. So marksmanship mattered, your aim mattered, and you weren't wasteful. So the ones you made famous were the ones that could actually shoot good and live to tell their story. Where the other ones were, they didn't shoot good. The bear. There you go. Okay, we'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Folks, we are back, and this is our guest segment of the show. And with us, joining us both on video and on audio, is Paul Lathrop. And Paul is the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation, and he's my friend. We'll just put it that way. Paul is involved in all kinds of stuff. He's involved in the Self-Defense Radio Network and the Polite Society podcast and just all kinds of different things. And I just want to start by saying that the Second Amendment Foundation in November of last year picked him up and made him the Deputy Director of New Media for a reason. And that reason is that Paul has, one, a great radio voice. He's very caring and conscientious, and he works very hard to promote the issues associated with the Second Amendment. And so they got a winner when they hired Paul. And I just wanted to have him on to share some of the things that he's doing and the successes and how you guys could all tune in and hear and see and watch what he's got going on. Because I'm a fan, and I think that you will be too once you discover Paul Lathrop. So, hey, Paul, thanks for joining us.
You know, I thought that I gave you a pretty good introduction at the Florida Carry Speakers event. I think you just topped it.
There you go. Well, I'm saying I really am a fan, and it's been great watching you. Kind of go from here's my radio show, my Polite Society podcast, to here's all the stuff that I've got going on, and it's pretty darned amazing. So why don't you start by filling folks in on the backstory of the job offer and getting involved with the Second Amendment Foundation.
I previously was I got to take the headset off because I'm getting my own voice back at me in delay, and that just doesn't work. I was previously a truck driver. I spent 20 years as a truck driver, and as I'm also passionate about our rights. I became very passionate about our rights shortly after September 11th, 2001, when I started trying to buy guns and finding out, it's not really a free country when it comes to the Second Amendment. So I started the Polite Society podcast. Through Polite Society podcast, I found out about the Second Amendment Foundation and this thing they do called Gun Rights Policy Conference. And so I then thought, this is a great thing. It would be really great if somebody could broadcast this so you didn't have to be one of the 700 people at the time sitting in a room, and if you couldn't make it to wherever it was, that you could still catch it. And so I partnered with the SAF, and I did that, and that ballooned into all kinds of different things. AmCon was part of that. The network, believe it or not, we grew out of that. And when the time came for the Second Amendment Foundation to add a deputy director of new media, to expand into internet broadcasting, they reached out, and I'm not a stupid person. When Alan Gottlieb asks, you say yes.
Exactly. No, you're not a stupid person. So yes, definitely say yes. So when you first started with Second Amendment Foundation, they were having you just do a podcast, a video story, and then do a lot of writing. And because in the very beginning, it was like, I'm writing for the Gun Mag, and it's like pulling teeth. And now you're just kind of like, oh, that's it, old hat. I got it now. So tell folks about that.
Well, writing, honestly, I'm an opinionated guy, big shot, and I have an affinity for radio. I grew up out in the middle of nowhere in the country on a farm, and my connection with the outside world was the late night radio people, and people like Larry King, Jim Bohannon, people like that. And I always wanted to get into radio. Well, the truth is, if you're in radio, you make minimum wage unless you are the very, very, very elite top echelon. That's the secret of radio. So life happened. I ventured away from radio, got into truck driving, but I've always wanted to do it. Now, writing for me is extremely difficult because I can think on the fly, but to get things exactly right, to get things to flow the way they're supposed to in writing is not the same as speaking. And so it's been a difficult transition, one that I've gone from about 4.5 hours to produce one little article for the Gun Mag now to about an hour and a half. And that's allowed me to expand some of the things I do with broadcasting, which has really made my job. I think I'm giving more to the Second Amendment Foundation, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So if folks want to, tell them about the broadcasting stuff. What all broadcasting things are available for people to go search out and tune into?
Well, if you go to the Second Amendment Foundation's either Facebook page or YouTube channel, I do a Monday through Friday, I do the Daily Bullet at 5 p.m. Central Time. And that is a 30-minute program where me and one guest talk about what's going on in Second Amendment politics that day. It is very heavily listener-driven. Usually, I'll bring 2 topics and about 5 minutes of content, and the audience then comments on where they want me to go. That's Monday through Friday at 5 Central Time. Mondays at 6 Central Time, I still do the Polite Society podcast. That does also appear on the SAF's social media. That is the one that brought it all together. 90-minute show. It's kind of a variety show. We do news, we do interviews, we talk about defensive gun uses, and it's the one that started it all. And then on Saturdays at 12 noon Central, we do the Weekly Bullet, again on the SAF's social media. And that's a 1-hour program where we do an in-depth interview with somebody making news in the Second Amendment. And me and 2 commentators talk about the entire week's news. And of all of them I think that's the most fun, except for the one that's not on Second Amendment Foundation's website. And that is the Armed Society. That's a Wednesday night show where it's on Polite Society podcast feed. And me and some friends just to get to cut back and talk about whatever. May not be gun related, may not be gun related, but just kick back and have fun. And that is the smallest one of all of them that I do, but it's the one I get the most enjoyment out of doing.
Well, I happen to know that you did, recently you did an Armed Society, so a Wednesday night, 1-hour show, and you were talking about, and this is before the shootings happened in Georgia, you were talking about the hate that's happening to Asians, and kind of broke that a week before the shooting in Georgia, and then all of the stuff that came from it. And it was interesting to me to hear different Second Amendment people, because one of the things is they roll out what is in their circle of influence, and that one came out between Amy Dillon and Chris Chang, and talking about those pieces of it. So since then, what's your opinion, kind of all of that as it rolled out, as what they're saying on the news about hate crimes versus not hate crimes? What's your thoughts?
I don't like the term hate crime, period. Simply because all crime is born out of, if not hate, at least animus. And so I don't like, just because there's a different race in there or there's different sexual orientation there, it doesn't make murder any more illegal if you kill somebody because they're Asian, or if you kill somebody because you want their gold watch. They're just as dead. So
right. Okay.
I strongly dislike that term, but I don't know if it's happenstance or if the right people were watching, but yeah, it has become very much more prominent in both Second Amendment media and in the mainstream media that it's caught fire, that there are people that are attacking Asians just because they're Asian, and it's disturbing for me. And I really didn't know about it until Amy Dillon put that show together and presented it to me, and I just, I push the buttons and make snarky comments. She was the one that did the real legwork for that episode.
Right. I think it was very, it's very interesting, and it's very disturbing. I mean, the fact that somebody can decide that they hate you just because of the way you're put together, the way you look, or the way you whatever. And so, I mean, I sort of understand where they define hate crimes, but I'm with you. Murder is illegal, and so it shouldn't be more horrific or less horrific or more heinous or less heinous because of that. Hey, we've got a commercial break. We'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun.
And then is on all kinds of audio and video to support the Second Amendment. So, Paul, why don't you tell people where they can where can they find you the easiest? What's the easiest path to connect to the things that you do?
The easiest way is to go to either the Second Amendment Foundation's Facebook or YouTube page. The 90% of what I put up is there. The other 10% goes up on the Polite Society Facebook's page, both YouTube and Facebook. So between those two, you can get almost everything I do. If you're looking for audio, one thing I'm very proud of what I do is the Self-Defense Radio Network. And if you go to sdrn.us, you'll find Polite Society Podcast there. But you'll also find a lot of other shows that are very like-minded and very diverse in what they do. And if you, by covering all those bases, you get to see everything I do.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Now, Paul, I know that the next time I'm actually going to see you in person is going to be in South Dakota for a Mossad Ayub Mag 40 class. And so I know that the class is not full. I know the class is 3 months away, or 2 months away now. 2 months away, right? 2? Yeah.
May, June, yes.
Okay. So it is... So how can people, if they're interested in a Mossad Ayub class, and I have to say, folks, you've heard that name forever. He is absolutely an anchor in the industry, and because you've heard that name forever, he is not a young man. So I'm not going to say anything besides, if you have on your bucket list a Mossad Ayub Mag 40 class taught by Mossad Ayub, you need to get off your chair and sign up. So how do they get information on that class if they're interested?
If they're interested in that class, and folks, I've been through Mossad Ayub group training many times. I've done RSO work for it, both here in Sioux Falls and at the Firearms Academy of Seattle. And I was fortunate enough to take a class with Mossad Ayub as a student along with me at the Firearms Academy in Seattle. That was a mind-blowing experience. But if you're interested in taking the class, it is a life-changer. You email Susan at politicsandguns.com. I'm going to give you that one more time, a little slowly. Susan at, and then politics and guns is all one word, of course, .com. And she'll get you all the information, what you need to sign up, where you can go to find more information, or if you need specific information, she can send that to you as well.
And if you, for some reason, cannot get connected with that email, always just use the email that is on our website, eyeonthetargetradio.com. Connect from there, and I'll forward it. I'll make sure that Susan gets it. But I am going to be a student. I know that some of our listeners are going to be a student in that class, and it would be great if we could fill it up, and you guys could come hang with me, and as we hang with Mossad Ayub. I think that's like a super bonus, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, these are really fun, because when I put these out, my primary way of promoting them is through the podcast. And so it's usually filled with listeners. But, and we did it for several years, and listeners in the region eventually all took the class, so I took a break for a few years. But with the national reach now of the SAF, and with friends like you, I've been able to get a lot bigger microphone, a lot bigger megaphone, so to speak. And I've been able to put out the word to more people. So yeah, I would love for it to be a full class filled with friends and listeners. That would be absolutely great. And my beautiful wife, part of my job, and thank you, I'm your video producer, Amanda. If you ever hear her saying my video producer, yeah, she's talking about me. But my beautiful wife, I don't have the ability to put it on the screen while I'm talking on the phone, but she wants to say the dates for the Mag 40 are June 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's up, the actual range is near Sioux Falls in a little town called Del Rapids, South Dakota.
So there you go. So it's a 4-day class, a Mag 40, and yours truly will be one of the students in there. So got my plane ticket, got my ammo. Now I'm trying to figure out what my suitcase looks like.
That's the tricky part, is having enough ammo.
To having enough ammo to be able to make all this work. But yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. So, okay.
I'm getting yells from the other room that I need to remind everybody, this isn't just a normal Mag 40. It's a Polite Society podcast, Mag 40. What that means is my beautiful wife cooks and brings food out to the range. The range is a little bit in the middle of nowhere. And so getting lunch is sometimes a bit of a challenge. And we do provide food, so you don't have to worry about trucking 15 miles into town, 15 miles back with the food, and hoping it lasts until lunch without giving you unusual side effects.
Got it. Well, I appreciate that care. We'll just say, because that could be bad. But okay, so let's go back to talking about SAF as a whole. The interesting part is SAF has been adding to their staff, or talking about adding to their staff and expanding, running ads, doing a variety of different things, because we really do have a push on from our current president on gun legislation. And there's actually even a conversation about anti-gun executive orders coming out. So what's the word that you're getting through SAF about what should we be doing?
Well, I want to put a mini plug in here, if I could, and encourage everybody to join the SAF. It's a $150 lifetime membership, or $15 for 1 year. What we're prepared to do when executive orders come down, and I very much believe they will, everything I'm hearing from my media sources and everything I'm hearing from within the SAF saying that executive orders are coming. But what I know the plan is as soon as they do come, we're going to sue the pants off them. That's kind of the plan. It takes a while, but honestly, my personal opinion, and this is not the opinion of the SAF, we tried and tried and tried to win through elections. We're winning in the center of the United States. We're doing okay in the Southeast, and the West Coast and the Northeast are in big trouble. Where we're going to win our rights back is through the courts. And that's what the SAF does, that nobody does any better. They win lawsuits, and they win them big time.
They really do. So the SAF has been involved in the Heller versus D.C., the McDonald's versus Chicago, Ezell versus Chicago, and so many other cases. The last time we talked to Alan Gottlieb, he was like, there's like 35 different cases that are currently in litigation. And so they really are, they're keeping an eye on it. They are the pushback. So folks, tune in to the Gun Mag and to the Polite Society podcast and to SAF.org or the SAF Facebook page. Check out some of the stuff that Paul is doing, because, like I said, I am a huge fan, and I'm really, really happy to be connected in a work relationship with this man, because he is pretty amazing. So, Paul, thank you very much for joining us on Eye on the Target Radio.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women, who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your Second Amendment rights are under attack like no other time in history, and the Second Amendment Foundation needs you to take action now. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have pledged to make taking away your Second Amendment rights a top priority through gun bans, gun confiscation, government regulations, and even a gun tax. They have aligned themselves with anti-gun activists like billionaire Michael Bloomberg and appoint radicals like Beto O'Rourke as the anti-gun czar. The fight begins now with your text of Protect 2A to 474747. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder. Your right to own a gun and protect your family are on the line. Text Protect 2A to 474747 and join the fight to protect your Second Amendment rights. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder.
shooter stand by.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey, we are back, and hey there, Gina. I just got a shout out from my friend Gina, and the interesting thing is that she is going on a shooting TV show, and so that's going to be so the world is going to be, well, the rest of the world is going to be introduced to Gina as she shoots in a competitive TV show.
Going shooting with your friends and that is fun, but when you're on a TV show, is it fun still, or now it's actually work, or what's the?
I don't know. You made your TV debut on Vice with the when you were carrying a box of boxes until you tripped.
The boxes out. It's like so. There you go. That's why I say when I shoot, kind of in the shotgun pattern.
Something like that. It was pretty funny. Yeah. So that was Rob's TV debut, and so there was that. That was his TV debut. He was also supposed to be in the movie White Boy Rick, but he made it to the cutting room floor.
Right. I was there. I just wasn't. Nobody knows it.
Somebody the other day just said that they just saw the movie and recognized me because I made it on 8 words, 5 seconds.
One of my arms, the sleeve of my coat or something, the only thing that you can see in my.
5 seconds, 8 words. I was in, out, done. Boom. There is the end of my movie career. Let me tell you, if you have not been an extra in a movie, you need to do it once. So if they're filming a movie somewhere near you, go and sign up and be an extra. And you are never going to be the same in how you watch TV and how you watch movies and what you look at in the crowd scenes, because you're going to figure out how that all works. And then from then on, you're not watching what the stars are doing. You're watching the whole background. You're watching the crowd. You're watching to see if you can see the same people over and over again. Because
it was kind of funny because they would do 7 or 8 different takes on one scene. And so you'd have a guy in front of you holding a 4-hour-old hot dog, and then the next one, that guy's somewhere else, and somebody else is in front of you.
Right.
So if they use part of this scene and part of that scene,
and they tell them to stay in the same place, but all of the extras look for where the camera is, and they work their way to be in front of it. And so there's a crowd in front of the camera, not necessarily a crowd where the director wants them. And so there's periodically, at least in the movie White Boy Rick, periodically there was a director swearing at everybody in Russian. It added to the ambiance of the entire filming experience. As Rob and I were there, and we were in the very, very beginning in the gun show scenes, and so that's how the movie opens. But it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, I just wonder when you watch these shows and stuff like yesterday, the Top Shot and all this stuff is can you actually perform when they say go and you got to try to hit what you're shooting at or do something?
I have a hard time in front of an instructor. I get performance anxiety. I can't even imagine in front of a camera.
And it's funny because I can hit the bullseye with no problem, but once they start adding the stress, is it how much harder is it at that point? So
I don't know, but I think you're filming long enough that it probably normalizes that stress, and so then it's like, okay, the first day is hard, and the next day gets a little easier, and so if you make the cut each by the first one, second one, you're probably good.
It gets easier as you go along.
Right. It's just you got to just make that first cut. Otherwise, you are that first person. You off the island.
I know, and I'm sitting there loading my muzzle-loading pistol, and you're filming me, and it's like it's minute 20 seconds or something, and you're like, you already decided you've had enough of that. We're going to do something else.
I'm moving on. I'm a waiting kid. I think that's the term, because he's like, lump. I mean, if Rob had a theme song, it really would be lump dee dum dee dum dee dum. I mean, he's a thinker. He's a deep thinker.
I'm not in no hurry. There's no hurry for any of that stuff. And if you hurry up, you end up shooting a finger off or something.
I think that our listeners realize that you're not in a hurry for pretty much anything. That's kind of how that goes. Okay, well, let's carry on with our show. But anyhow, that was a shout out to our friend Gina. And as she makes it on TV, we'll talk about her more. Maybe we'll have her on the show. That's it. So, okay, so what else is there? What do you got?
There's all kinds of stuff.
There's so much stuff.
The normal, they hate us.
They hate us. Okay, so the headline, this is by Tom Knighton, and so this was in Democrats push to add AR-style pistols to the NFA list. Okay, so first, does everybody know what the NFA list means? So
the National Firearms Act, and it was 1934, gun control. Actually, what it means is that you have to pass a background check. You have to fill out forms, send in your fingerprints and all this stuff, and then wait for them to do the test. It's usually a $200 stamp fee for the gun. It's a one-time fee until you sell it, and the next guy has to pay the $200. But the big thing, and a lot of people are complaining about now, is the like the suppressors and short-barreled rifles, stuff like this, that the background check takes them 9 months to a year to do. So it's not so much the $200 that everyone complains about. It's the fact that you put your $200 in, and you may not see it for a year.
And you wait. Yeah, so you're paying your $200. Not only are you paying your $200, you've paid to buy the pistol because you can't do the stuff until you own it. So you've paid to buy the pistol. It's just sitting on the shelf. You've paid the $200. It's just sitting on the shelf, and then you wait and wait and wait.
You would think that the seller would have a problem with this because, like, when you buy a suppressor, that suppressor has a serial number, and it's assigned to you. So now it has to go on the shelf, and he has to sit on it for that 9 months or a year.
So he's responsible for that inventory.
Right, and he can't sell it to anyone else. He can't do anything. So it's one thing if he's got, I got this one, I can sell it multiple times,
and
but
get
he
another
can't.
one in.
He has once that one's sold, he's got to put it on the shelf because the serial number is assigned to me. He has to buy another one to sell to the next guy. So his inventory is huge just because he's holding on to this for years on end.
Well, and it's customer-owned property, so it's not even his. So he's responsible for it on a theft basis, but it's not listed as an asset. It's just the responsibility. Charlie Cook just sent a message over that says not only is Rob not necessarily speed oriented, but he is very lunch oriented. So Rob's code name is Stealth Turtle. There you go. So the interesting thing is that now a group of Democrats want to make it illegal to own an AR-style pistol. And so
somebody just sent me out a thing, and it was like a little cartoon, and it was supposed to be like an ATF guy who was explaining to you the difference between a rifle and a pistol, and some of it was like the butt stock changed a little bit, but otherwise it looked the same. Maybe they put a forward grip on it that went straight down, and that made it illegal. But if it had one at an angle, that made it fine. And it was almost like the guy was going forward a couple slides, and he'd go back, and he was trying to tell himself what was even the difference between. Mainly, it's like this one has a red background, so it's illegal, but this one has a blue background. It's legal, but he couldn't really see the difference.
What's the difference? I got to look at this. Wait, I got to do a comparison. There's the two pictures of Popeye and olive oil. Then
right,
right. So you're looking at it going, okay, what's different in these pictures? So David Wilcox says that explains why I didn't see Rob in the movie, because he was there. He was right. Rob and I don't do a lot of stuff without the other one. We just.
Well, it's funny. We got that movie. I got an invitation to come to the movie, and they were doing a gun show from 1984, and so I said, sure, I could come out and do it. And it started out they wanted one table, then they wanted more tables. So I think in the end we had like 3 or 4 tables we'd set up, and so and it was kind of funny. Matthew McConaughey was working like one row over from us, so he would come over, and I had a table full of bullet molds and flintlocks and old English pistols and stuff like this, and so he would be playing with my English bulldog pistols or something, and then they would say his magic word, and all of a sudden he took off and go over, and he was in that part doing his thing. But in the meantime, he was standing right in front of my table playing with my stuff.
Yes. So it was pretty interesting. So let me tell you the background to this, because this to me is the funniest thing. So it's set in 1984. Get it? So we go in and they make us go to costume. And so we go to costume, and first thing they do is take my glasses away and give me these 1984 glasses with no lenses. Okay. So it's really hard to see anything if you wear glasses when they take your glasses, but that's how I need to spend the day. Then they give me an outfit. They fit me to an outfit. They give me an outfit. They tell Rob, okay, dress exactly like you're dressed right now. They just give him a new hat. So when costuming happens, we all show up. They give us a bag with all of our costumes in it. They give Rob a bag that has
a hat.
That's it. It just has a hat. It was absolutely the funniest thing.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, we are back, and let's talk about defunding the police. So, what's happening right now is there's a couple different things that are going on, but the big cities have been pushing the whole defund the police, and so they have taken the policing money and they have moved it over to social services, to counselors and advisors and more social programs instead of policing programs.
For a while, they were going to start sending social workers out on calls instead of. I hadn't heard anything one way or the other about that.
It's kind of interesting. It's absolutely interesting because I think that's what they're talking about, and I have not seen any of that. But here is the most recently available data that is out. And so between December 2020 and March of this year, compared to the same reporting period last year, Minneapolis, their murders rose 46% year over year change. Portland, their homicides rose 370% from 17 in the July 2019 to February 2020 to 63 in July 2020 to February 2021. 370% increase in crimes, in murders, homicides. Murders in New York City are up 11.8%. Los Angeles murders are up 28%. So when you start to look at this, the aggravated assault reports are up 26% overall in the municipalities that are talking about defunding the police. So now crime rates are up, let's say 20-25%. Murders are up anywhere 10, 28, 25, 46, 370%. So back to whose job is it to protect you, pants on, gun on? And is it really a good idea to defund the police? So now we go into Chicago. So Chicago just recently had a circumstance where Adam Toledo, who was a 13-year-old, was fatally shot by the police when he had a firearm when he and the police got into an altercation. And so now Adam, his mother said that he ran away from home and then she'd call the police and then they would try to find him. So there was a whole lot of stuff going on. But now they're saying, well, the police had other less lethal options to use against him, but they didn't. That's the statement. And at the same time, he had a gun. So where is that mix? So do you make it that the police use something less lethal when the 13-year-old has a gun that is headed for the police? So now he was part of a group, or we don't know that he's part of a group. It is not a self-declared thing. What it is the gang, the Latin Kings, have now declared that they are going to shoot Chicago police officers on site. So I can't say that this kid was part of the gang.
No, it says in the article, it says gang members are reportedly instructed to shoot at police officers, or Chicago police officers. But who instructed them? I mean, who's given these orders and stuff?
It's, gang violence is a thing, and when you really start to look at the statistics of the cities with high murder rates, when you look at the statistics of high crime areas, they are typically high gang areas, and so active gang areas, and so this is sort of what we're going to be seeing. But when they say someone gave the instruction, one can only assume that it is the leadership within the gang. that is giving that instruction to the other members
some
of the
other
gang.
stuff that goes on is we see all the time the federal government's out. We're going to issue these I don't know what you call it, the EPs or whatever.
Executive orders, right?
Yep. And they're going to we're going to outlaw this, we're going to outlaw that, and stuff. And but the local government on the state level is passing constitutional carry in different states, different things. We got one here. They're talking about volunteer force of Minutemen, so that you have a reason why you have to have your rifle, and
so on call to defend your state.
The funny part is, if you read the Constitution and the papers,
the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers,
the United States is not allowed to have a standing army. There's not supposed to be a standing army. That's why they have to put it in the federal budget every 2 years to vote on it, because that's as far out as they're allowed to spend the money.
It's really odd, because they have people enlist in the military for 6 years, and yet the military isn't guaranteed to exist for 6 years.
They're only allowed to fund it for 2-year increments. The rest of the time, you are the military. If something is going on in your neighborhood, you are supposed to show up with your rifle, 200 rounds of ammo, some camping equipment, and enough food to keep you going for a couple days to be that stopgap thing. And then Congress can vote on the Army, get one together, and bring it in to relieve you. As the militaries around the world have got bigger and better,
we've just got
we have a permanent army that we have vote on every 2 years. But when you read the rules, it's not necessarily set up that way. And how long is it going to be able to continue being set up that way?
Well, since the Army owns so many assets, they'll be like, okay, what do I do? How do I do this? It really is. We've had scope creep. And scope creep to where the military budget is now the largest budget.
Right,
and
if you read the Constitution and those papers, also they say in there that part of that Second Amendment is you can own a battleship. We're just not guaranteeing that we're going to pay you to use it on our behalf. So if you need a cannon or an aircraft or whatever, that's on the private citizen. But yet down the road, you may be able to license it for use.
You can rent it to the government. Right. Okay. I'm signing it. I don't think I'm talented enough to fly a Huey, but if that's the case, that's where I'm going.
Like you see it now, you have to clear off the back lot so you have a spot to land it.
Right. And store it. And then I'd have to wax it and stuff like that. You know? I mean, I already hate taking my car to the car wash.
I don't know about waxing your helicopter, but they always say never wax your own missile. You got to pay somebody.
We're just stopping that one. We're headed in a completely different direction. Hey, folks, when we come back, we're going to tell you a little bit about Car Arms, because we are so proud that they are our sponsor. And you're going to like the stuff that Car Arms offers. We'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your songs and stories for soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Okay, so we are back. One of our listeners sent us on a path down to that in Seattle. There is a story where Seattle's defund the police, send in social workers. The idea. So there is a social worker that is dead. November 23rd of 2020. An individual took a large knife into an apartment complex and killed 42-year-old social worker Kristen Benson, and because he believes that she was involved in working with others to have him evicted from his house. And so those are the kinds of stories where she's unarmed, she's untrained, unarmed, and has picked a career where she wants to make the world a better place. And so that's one of the reasons why people become social workers, why people become school teachers, is that they want to help. and to make it to where it's now their function or their responsibility to go into a situation unprepared, unarmed, and it's a bad situation, and that's not what they signed up for.
Well, so Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, he says that when you condemn the police, you make it harder for them to do their job, and then it shouldn't surprise you that criminals take advantage of that. So the more we are doing this, I've got two articles here. Both of them quote the same thing. Senator Ted Cruz is saying, every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater where the committees get together and propose a bunch of laws that would do nothing to stop these murders. And then they're saying, well, just that statement on its own, saying that every time there's a shooting means that there's too many shootings. But we're seeing in these last couple of shootings, the FBI knew these players. They did nothing to stop them. They both bought their guns through the channels with background checks, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. The family even said the one was a mentally ill. Mm-hmm. And so there's no provision anywhere for you to say that your family member is mentally ill and get it put on a background check to stop them from buying anything. And if there was, once he's found out that it wasn't that way, there's no provision for them to take it back off either. It's Ohio just recently passed a thing where if your gun's stolen, you can get it put on a list. But if your gun shows up again, you'll never get it back off that list. How do you get it off
the list? And that's one of the things that happens is when you allow private citizens to put somebody on a list without mental health evaluation or something like that.
I think they call it due process.
There you go. It would be called due process. I was thinking it's called a vindictive divorce. So,
right, but I mean, that's the thing is that if they would allow you to put it on the thing, then you went through the process and all the stuff, would you be able to get it taken off, or it's always going to be there no matter what, just because someone said it? It's a
that's really so this battle that just says, okay, we're gonna get rid of the police. We're not gonna let you have a gun. We're gonna get rid of the police who are gonna come minutes later to save you. So now the police don't have a gun and you don't have a gun, and the criminals are now taking advantage of those circumstances. And so that is it. It's a ridiculous statement that was made that just recently the DC police murder where the violent offender took a car, rammed a couple police officers, then got out of his car with a knife and went after them. One officer killed, one officer wounded. And the anti-gun people said, see, it would have been so much worse had he had a gun. Right? Where are you? He's already murdered one person, attempted to murder another person, used I don't know how much a car weighs, but it's a
car and a machete too.
Right. So yeah, if Rob is Starsky and Amanda is Hutch, based on the statements, is Paul Huggy Bear. There you go. I want to see the hat that goes with that. So interesting. So I just want you to start to think about some of this stuff. So when they start to talk about, it'd be fabulous if we could get more mental health help. It would be. But let's not defund the police. Let's not take their role out of the circumstances. And if we get somebody mental health help, where do we put them? What do we do with them? And how come we've stopped those kinds of things? I have a girlfriend who had her mother had been in and out of institutions, and she says until they closed the institutions and they sent her mother home, and they got her, and she says it was horrible to live with somebody who was that mentally unstable that they never knew when mom was going to try to kill one of us. And so that's sort of some of what we're living in. It would be fabulous to say, okay, boom, flick, you're healed. That's not how it works. So there's so much of that. That's not how it works. Let's go to a little levity. I came across this article and I thought it was hysterically funny. And I can't, it was on someone's Facebook post, and so I don't have anything to attribute it to. But the headline was, "Why I Will Never Wear My Range Safety Officer Hat Again After I Leave the Gun Range." We all know that a range safety officer is called an RSO. So this man worked as a range safety officer, an RSO, at a range that required them to wear a bright orange hat with the words with the letters RSO on it. So he's in town walking around, and then he's reading something, and it's talking about the police starting to interview all of the local RSOs. And he's like, why is the police interviewing the range safety officers? Why do range safety officers have to have anything to do with child abduction? Why do they, what's going on? So they go on to say that there's 36 RSOs in the immediate area. And he's like, wow, that's a lot of range safety officers in one specific area. Oh, geez. The police acronym for registered sex offender is RSO. So he's wearing a prison orange hat with RSO emblazoned on it out in society, out in the public. And so now he's like, okay, now my grocery store thinks that I'm a registered sex offender, and I'm so bad at it that I actually have to wear it emblazoned like the like the Scarlet Letter, only it's the bright orange RSO on my head everywhere I go, so that everyone knows that I've got that going on. It's not really the truth. It's a hunting orange, blaze orange hat. Range safety officer is the word. So maybe if you're a range safety officer, your hat shouldn't say RSO. Maybe it should say range safety officer, just so that you can go out in public without everybody thinking.
Even safety officer would be better than the other, huh?
Right. Just a little bit of that. I found that, and I thought that was humorous, funny even. So let's talk about car arms. So
you want to talk about the silver-plated Tommy gun, or
I haven't bought it yet. I do want it. I want it. So Car Arms they have a wide variety of brands under the entire car umbrella.
And if you look at the car pistols themselves, they make a PM and a P and these different sizes. They get bigger, and they have a long double-action trigger. They don't have an external safety unless you order one special that way because of your local politics makes you have a safety on a gun.
And the ordinance, but they're very slim-lined guns.
They're slim-lined guns. They seem to be very dependable from what we've played with them. They're easy to take.
Let's go back to that. Before we played with them, I had there for a while. I had a stack of broken guns on my kitchen table, and none of them were a car. And I pretty much hit every other major brand.
I shoot a lot. The only ones that I've ever seen that were actually even beat up to the point where they needed some attention were the 40s, the real small 40s. And they catch trouble on the edge of the barrel from the locking mechanism. And when I would buy those at auction, a lot of times, like from the police departments, I'd send them back to the car. They'd replace the barrel and fix it all up and send it back to me, no charge. And I had like a brand new pistol at that point. But my K9, it's got thousands and thousands of rounds through it without any, you can't tell it's got any.
Let me just say that my CW9 had more rounds through it than my SIG P365 that I had to send back because they said, oh, I've shot it to death. Yeah, just saying.
But I mean, the car pistol, it's got this longer trigger pull. If you like, they have 1911 style pistols. They have the Jericho style of a pistol, which is I think they call it the Baby Desert Eagle.
Okay,
you got one. It's a 40, and you said I don't have a 40.
Do you like that? I don't. I'm not a fan of 40s. I may have a 40, but I'm just gonna say it's shoved in the back of the safe, so I got one, but.
But they're striker fired, and it's a pretty nice pistol. You should check out what's available to Car Arms.
Go to car.com, KAHR.com, and check them out. And then look at the Tiger Stripe Tommy gun, because you'll want one too.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, we are back. So we had talked a little bit about the fact that the crimes against Asians, and there's an interesting story that's out that the authorities have arrested a 15-year-old after a videotaped attack on the Asian couple. So not only did they attack this couple, they filmed it, and then they shared it on the internet.
Well, I remember where they were going out and doing that, where they would like film it, where they'd come out and punch somebody in the head.
Right, the knockout game.
Yep,
So this is, I don't understand. I don't see where this is cute or funny or I mean, this is sort of like that TV show that you watch, the one where people are just stupid on YouTube.
Oh, the ridiculousness show.
Okay, so that show.
So they just watch people fall down and do different things.
Right, and so, but, and they have to say on there, 100 times.
Don't send us a picture.
We will not take your videos. Don't send us any videos. Don't stage any videos. Only the videos.
People will jump off the top of the house and land on their head just to see if they can get famous.
If they can be on TV, see if they can be famous. People will glue their hair to their head and then say, I didn't realize that it wouldn't come out. It's glue, right? I mean, people are... It doesn't give me a lot of faith for the future of the human race when some of them...
a lot of people don't want to really work for money. They'd prefer to get it the easy way by like gluing their head to the toilet seat and then making it big in show business.
Well, okay, just recently there was one where somebody they were licking airport toilet seats and filming it. Because when they filmed that, they thought that they would be an internet sensation. I'm thinking you're going to die of something. I'm thinking you're not thinking.
Even if you're not dying of something,
do you want to lick the bum of every person on that airplane? Because that's pretty much what you just did. Right? Every one of them. Yeah, licked them all. What?
Your mom's got to be real proud of that, huh?
I don't get it. We're just going to say it doesn't make sense. Right? Well, I mean, what did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I don't see the future in.
I don't see the future in. There is no future in licking a toilet seat. Licking. How many people are on that airline? Let's say that there's 30 seats.
The funny part is the chemicals that they use to clean that. It's probably cleaner than the rest of the whole airport, anyways. But it's.
But are you the first person there, or did they clean it, or have you gotten the bum of all of the people that were on the flight since 6 a.m. that morning?
Right, I'm not going to try it. I'm
going to tell you that some of them are men, and you don't hit what you're aiming at. So you're getting a taste of that too. No. Let's talk about constitutional carry. So constitutional carry has passed in Iowa. That makes Iowa the 19th state with full constitutional carry.
They said Tennessee is right on the edge of doing it.
So it has been passed through the House and the Senate. It's at the governor for signature.
The best part of Iowa's constitutional carry was also that they took away the permitting process that you had to, if you wanted to buy a pistol, you had to get their.
So they had a Ford card like
Yep.
Illinois has. Okay.
So they took all of that out of it. There's a couple other states that are working on that. I know that Indiana has been talking about it. Ohio makes noise a little bit, but we are not trailblazers, so we got to wait till a lot more people get it before we.
They've written it. They talked about it. They let it on the shelf. They've written it. They talked about it. It's sitting on the shelf. So Indiana's is dead on arrival. It did not.
You know how much of a procrastinator Ohio actually is they say that they got statehood in 1803.
But they didn't sign the papers?
They forgot to sign the paperwork, and so they really didn't sign the papers until 1953. So Ohio was just faking it from 1803 until 1953.
So, okay. So 150 years of pretending. Fake it till you make it.
Right.
I think that's the statement. Fake it till you make it. Well, Texas and Louisiana are both active right now, so those have the potential. So Tennessee is going to be, let's just assume Tennessee is going to be 20, and then Texas and Louisiana can be 21 and 22. So we're at what, 40% right now.
Right. So it's looking more promising for Ohio to finally get off
their duff. So I think that'll be a statement. So you Ohio peeps, just call your congressmen, call your senators, and say, look, I want this pulled back out of the mothballs and make it happen.
One of the things, too, is we're getting more and more states that are doing these sanctuary state things where, we're seeing that one earlier I talked about where they're going to make people Minutemen to So they're trying to figure a way around the federal government bossing them around. So it goes back to that states' rights thing again.
Mm-hmm.
So you ain't the boss of me.
so many levels of you are not the boss of me. But I think that this is the battle we're in. Is the federal government seems to think that everybody wants gun control, and all the states are going, yeah, no, we don't.
Well, they keep quoting this 90% of people that are polled or something want gun control.
Right, so they poll them in downtown D.C. I don't know where they
get them from, but that's they keep quoting this 90% of people and all this stuff. But yet, when people come right down to going and voting, they don't get those results from the voters. So I don't know. I don't know who they're talking to.
Well, and that's one of the big things is a lot of people are like they're not talking to me. But here's the thing. How many times do you get a phone call that says, I'm from blah, blah, blah poll thing. Do you have a few minutes? And do you say, sure, or do you like, boom, off my planet?
I say most people just hang up. So I've never had them call me about that. They wanted to sell me my extended warranty on my car till
I
they find out
calls,
it's 80 years old or something. And
I get calls a lot that they want you to take this survey or that survey, but I can never tell if it's a real survey, like a survey, or if it's I'm just going to ask you questions so I can reel you in so I can ask you for money.
Right, but that may be the same survey they've taken to get this 90% number too. So
they're reeling me in.
The one where they say, we're going to give you $750 if you fill out this form. And most people, they don't want the $750. They don't care what they read on the form.
What do you want me to say? What do I have to say to get the $750?
Right? That's more like it. What do I have to say
to get it? There's no difference. So, okay.
Yeah, a friend of mine called me yesterday. He's looking online. He found a place that has primers for sale.
Okay. Woohoo!
So, some auction site, $900 for 5,000 small pistol primer. And
okay.
Plus, it was $50 to ship it to you. So,
but wasn't it just recently $300 for 1,000?
But it used to be that I could buy a 5,000 pack for about $125. And
okay, but then it was $300 for 1,000, right? So. Right, it's the price is coming down.
It's cheaper in bulk, but it's still not cheap.
The price is coming down a little. So it would have been $1,500. Now it's back to.
My friends who are shooting 50 Browning machine gun, they say that the price has not changed at all on ammo for that. So they're still paying the same $3.85 a piece.
It's not
for
moved.
them. So.
Right. It's pretty funny. So I think though you're going to start to see ammo moving. I think that the ammo availability is starting to come back. Now you see it. The prices are still kind of up there a little bit, but they're not. It's not as high as it was, and it's not all out of stock.
Once the people who are buying everything they can get their hands on and try to resell it are fully loaded and they don't want to buy no more, then you'll start seeing it on the shelves. And
and you're going to start to see people just go, okay, I'm not paying that price. So the people who are the big ammo pigs are going to be stuck with it at the absolute peak price. So hey, folks, we'll check back in with you next week. Stay tuned.
Okay.